Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wendy Brzezowski, and I am a COTA by background, and I am the OT account manager at Simucase, and I am also assist Mara Lavelle, who is our OTR and managing editor, and together we create the simulations and the observation video library content that you see on the site. So our clients are real clients having real therapy sessions, and we send video crews out to video them, bring that information back, and then we break it down into the case studies and the observational video library that you see on the site. So with simulation, we know there's a lot of benefits to students, and some of those benefits include creating a bridge between knowledge and clinical experience. It gives you an opportunity to see clients in their environment and see them have therapy and also participate, bridging that gap between what you learn in the classroom and what you will experience in the clinic. So with Simucase, we are presenting these clients authentically and allowing you to make the decisions. Always with simulation, it is a safe learning environment. So you can learn from your mistakes, you get a chance to practice, you can use the simulations or the videos repeatedly, and they give you an exposure to low incidence populations and an opportunity to build confidence in your knowledge. So in the Simucase library, we have assessment cases, interventions, part task trainers that are meant to teach one specific skill or focus on one specific thing, and an observation video library for OT. When you first receive your code to create your account, you will go to simucase.com and you will follow the instructions on the flyer. You will select Join Now on the top right side of the screen, and then you will fill out this one-page form. This form requires you to have an email address, your name, and your academic level, as well as your university title. Putting your university in here will allow your faculty to see your work. So that's why you need to have your university, and it needs to match the faculty. When we create the account, then you will have a live account. Your name will appear in the top right corner. When your name appears here, you'll see under it that if you drop down the box, you can see account settings. And in those account settings, you can do things like turn on your auditory indicators, which is down here. It's an accessibility feature at the bottom right corner of your screen. If you turn your auditory indicators on, you will be able to hear when you're making good choices. You'll also see that your email address can be changed if you use the edit box. You can see how long your account will be active. When you're working in the simulations, you will be scored on your decision making. When you make good decisions, you will receive points. When you make rejected decisions, you will lose points. There are also going to be things within the simulation that are just acceptable. When you earn points and complete the simulation in its entirety, you will receive an average score, and when you have a 90% or higher, that's a mastery level. 70 to 89% is developing, and 70% or less than 70, is emerging competency. So we're going to go ahead and go into Simucase and take a look at the software. So when you first create your account, you'll be on the welcome page, and you'll see a welcome page much like mine, except it will be your name and not mine. Your name will appear in the top right corner, and above it you will see the word transcript. And when you want to see what work you've already completed, you can always access it through this transcript tab. So if you were to click the transcript above your name, any simulations or video content that you've already viewed will appear here. So as long as you've completed it in its entirety, you have access to your transcript, which will show either how long you spent watching the video or how long or what your score is for the simulation. So in this professions tab, where when we were on the welcome page, if you're logging in and your profession will be occupational therapy, your login will go to the occupational therapy professions page. If you're logging in and your profession will be PT, then that is where your login will be. But you do have access to all content. And if we scroll down just a little bit here, you can see there are some tutorials. So if you view the tutorials here, you can view a tutorial on how SimuCase scores, what a part task trainer is, or even how to use the video library. So you do have access to resources once you get started. In this library tab, this is where the video library is and all of the simulations. So the video library itself has over 125 OT videos, but it also has over 650 videos in all professions. So you may be asked to watch videos or assigned to watch videos in any part of this library to illustrate concepts or to meet learning objectives of the course that you're working in. So if your faculty were to ask you, for instance, to watch a certain video, so perhaps you're talking and we're looking for gait. So we want to see maybe a client that has some gait difficulties. So if we were to look at Danny, you can see this is a gait training video. There'll always be a little blurb about what is happening in the video. You can full screen it with the little box here. And when you press play, then you
All
would,
right, so what I'd like to do next is to have Danny do a little walking so we can work a little bit more on that, see how that.
You can also see that everything is closed captioned here. So once you've watched the video in its entirety and it runs all the way through, your faculty will be able to see that you have done so. They do have access to a faculty dashboard, which I am going to show you quickly here. And in that faculty dashboard, they will be able to see what videos you have watched and whether or not you've watched them to their entirety. So they will be able to see your work as you're working. If they're looking for simulations and you're assigned to do anything within the simulations, they will be able to see that as well. And that is through the faculty dashboard. So in the video library, you can look in any area, so OT, PT, speech, or audiology. You can look by topic. You can search by age group, by the location where it was filmed, or how long the video content is. So if you're looking for a broader view or a broader search, you just change your topic to all professions. And then perhaps you do want to stick with looking at range of motion or looking at vision. You can choose in here in this topic area and decide where you would like to select. So maybe we want to look at lower extremity and hit search and see in all professions that there will be some different lower extremity videos, some testing of kinesthesia, some heel walking. So you may be asked to watch videos, and when you do, they will go to the faculty dashboard. So one way your faculty may ask you to view them is they may give you the title of the video. And if they do that, you would just type the title in here and hit search. So if it was Avery, we could just look for videos of Avery. Or they may click on the video themselves and grab this link at the top and copy it and give you the link. And if they do that, then you just click the link and you can watch the video through the link. You will be asked always to log into SimuCase when you're watching video content. So that's how the video library works. Under this library tab, we also have the search simulations. When we go into search simulations, this is where the interactive piece is, where you'll be able to make decisions as you go. Now, you may be assigned to view certain components of the simulation or make decisions about certain items within the simulation, or you may be using this as a group or even in a classroom setting where faculty is demonstrating through using the simulation. But any way that you're using it, you will be able to pull it up on your own screen, on your own login, and work through the simulation simultaneously or even after class or as an assignment. So you can look in any part of the library. In the PT library, you will see that we do have some goniometric measurement here. We'll see RIP with a full assessment. In that OT library, we do have 18 simulations currently. There's a lot of crossover content for the disciplines. And so if we were to look maybe at Frank today, you can see that Frank does have an assessment and an intervention. So we do get to see Frank during his evaluation. And so all of the simulations do work very similarly, even if they have different topic areas within them. So we're going to take a look at Frank's assessment. When we start the simulation, you will see learning mode and assessment mode if you are a student. If you're faculty, you'll also have this third option, which is debrief mode. all of the answers to all of the simulation are within debrief mode. So if we were to click on debrief mode for Frank, we would be able to see the path that the students should take. We would also see all of the answers. Now faculty will have that, students will never have that tab. In learning mode, you will receive feedback as you go, and this is where we're going to take a look at Frank, is in learning mode. When you work in a simulation, you can see the clock is running at the top of the screen, just getting you used to having a better understanding of how much time you spend with your client. Beside that clock, you'll see Show Clipboard. When I click the clipboard, it will open, and any decision that I make while I'm working in the simulation will save to the clipboard. I can look at it if I hit save and exit. All my information will still be there when I come back. I can refer to it at any time. I can even make notes. I can add entry and make some notes in here. When I hit save, those notes will be there for me as I work through the simulation. When we work on a simulation, it's good to start with the Start Case Study button. It will give you an idea of who your client is. You'll hear the referral, and you'll get to see a little video about Frank.
Frank is an 80-year-old male with Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia who recently experienced a cerebral infarction and a progressive increase in falls. Frank was briefly hospitalized in an acute care setting prior to being discharged home to the independent senior living facility where he lives. You are the occupational therapist working for a mobile outpatient agency who is assigned to complete Frank's evaluation.
So you can see that we get a little video about Frank. His referral was read out loud, and then you can see the referral on the top of the clipboard. If you're working through the whole simulation, you would want to work left to right, which is the natural progression of an assessment. Taking a case history, talking with collaborators, stopping to make a clinical hypothesis about how you'd like to proceed, what assessments might be right for Frank, doing his assessments, making findings, and making recommendations. So if you're working on interviewing skills, this case history area is a great place to be.
I just had my 80th birthday.
You can hear that Frank is introducing himself, and how the case history works is you would work from top to bottom, asking the most appropriate questions in each area for the client. Now remember, we want to stay away from items that are developmentally inappropriate, things that use medical jargon, that could be insensitive to the client, or that are redundant. So we could always look at his case history intake form. And you can see here that there will be information here that could be helpful while you're doing the assessment. There would be information here that is found nowhere else in the assessment as well. So you always want to make sure that you're taking time to review reports. Probably one of the most asked questions I get from students when they're working in the simulations is, why can't I get 100% in an area? And I will take a look at their reports, and sometimes they haven't looked at the reports or fully read the medical records that are available. And so therefore they're not able to either answer or ask questions related to those medical records. So it's very important to read medical records. You can hear when I make good choices that we're getting a positive auditory indicator. So I'm going to ask Frank to tell me about his family. Keep in mind that I do have him muted for our demonstration. He's going to answer me and say, I've got the daughter and 3 sons. You can hear the sound that is happening. That's my positive auditory indicator letting me know I'm making good choices. You'll also see a green bar at the top right corner of the screen. So that's how you're getting feedback as we go. When I ask some good questions in succession, if you watch this little circle here to the top left of the screen, you'll see right beside case history that this circle is going to start to fill with progress. So I'm going to ask what types of things are hardest for him to do. What are some of his goals? Have you had any previous therapy? So as I'm making good decisions, this circle is filling up. Think of it as a pie chart. The fuller it is, the closer to 100% that you have. But if I ask something that's inappropriate, like if I ask him how old he was when he took his first steps, that would be developmentally inappropriate for somebody who's 80 years old. When I ask that question, you're going to hear a different sound. You're going to see a red bar in the top right corner of the screen. And you'll also notice that we lose a little bit of progress in our progress meter. And he says, I don't remember. So all of this information is also populating to the clipboard. So if we look at the clipboard on the right, you can see at what time I made these ask these questions. You can see what he answered, and now you can see the redirect. So the redirect is going to tell us that this question is insensitive, uses medical jargon, or is not developmentally appropriate for your client. So this redirect should help you as a student to think, well, should I ask any more of these developmental questions? And then move on. So the redirects are there to guide you. Now, in the grand scheme of things, we've only missed 1 point where Frank is concerned. We would still get a really good score here. There's no reason to run from the room on your client when you make an error. You really do want to learn from your mistakes. You can then go in and have a little bit of that IPE experience, talk to some of the folks involved in Frank's care. So we always encourage you to talk to the person who made the recommendation. So in this case, it was the family nurse practitioner.
Hi, I'm Rose Nephews. I'm the resident nurse practitioner here at the independent living facility where Frank lives, and I routinely manage his care. I sent a copy of the recent report from Frank's neurologist, which includes a copy of his current medications.
So you can see here that she did send a report, and now it is on the clipboard, and it is in the form of a PDF. When I open that PDF, there will be information found here that's from his neurology report, including a really nice medication list, a lab report, so you can get a chance to start looking at those medical records. We can also ask the family nurse practitioner some questions if we like, and then we would move on to the next collaborator. So some of these collaborators are foils, like the wife he separated from, the pediatrician, is developmentally inappropriate. So you only really want to talk to the folks that are involved in his care. In this hypothesis area, this is a great place to stop and think about what kind of problems Frank is having and how his problems are going to affect his function. It's a nice place to stop and think about what assessments you might be learning about in class that might be appropriate for Frank. This area is not graded by Simucase. Open text boxes are something that your faculty will take a look at. And in the case of the hypothesis, it is used to meet the learning objectives of the course. So the faculty may be asking you to put information in here, assigning you something to do, and when you do it and save it, this is what a full progress meter looks like. In the assessment area, this is where you would be doing assessments. Now, dependent on what type of course that you're working in or what your learning objectives are, this area may be used for different pathways. So when we look in here at the ADL and IADL area, if you're still in a pretty novice area of your education, your faculty might just tell you to go in and take a look at the modified Barthel. If you're already working on assessments and you're in an assessment course, you would go there and you would decide as the therapy student which assessments would be most appropriate for Frank. So this can be assigned in a couple of different ways. And so Simucase can be used in part or in whole. So in this case, maybe you're just talking about falls and balance in your course and you just want the students, or as a student, you just want to see the timed up and go. You could come in here and administer that, and you'd get to see Frank complete the full timed up and go, including the demonstration by the therapist.
All right, I'm going to tell you what we're going to.
You would answer all of the questions here on the right. These are observation questions that you are going to watch the video in its entirety and then answer. You can't move on to the next section unless you answer the questions. So we could then see Frank do his first trial.
This is just a practice. Are you ready? Okay. Go.
So then you would answer these observation questions. We call these the skills checks. What was the time that it took Frank? How was his quality of movement? What ambulatory device was he using? What occurs when he attempts to turn around, akinesia or freezing? Now, because we're working in learning mode, you can ask for feedback, and you'll see that Simucase will grade all of the answers that you did, except for that open text box. Your faculty will take a look at that. So in the case of the timed up and go, he would do that first initial trial, then he would do the test, and then you will take a look at how he performed and look at the norms on slide 4. So you do want to go through the whole simulation, watch every video, and then go to the end. And when you're done, you'll see that you have to click finished. So you can do assessments as they're assigned, or you may be assigned to do all of the assessments for Frank. And then there's the findings area where you can talk about what you found out through evaluating Frank, and then you can make a recommendation for Frank. You can even write goals here and talk about billing, which is back here under the billing codes document. So you do have a lot of opportunity within Frank's simulation to take a look at what his progress is or what his findings are, and talk about what recommendations you might make. When you submit a simulation, you will get an overall score. So even if you only do a portion, if you were only assigned to do the assessments or some of the assessments, you do have access to see how you did through this final report. And so you can look at your final report, and anything in red is incorrect. You can see where I put my hypothesis. When I was answering those questions, any questions that I answered incorrectly are here. So you do have an opportunity to see how you did. When you're assigned to do a simulation or even a portion of a simulation, we do recommend that you always look at the final report. It's very important to self-assess and to see how you've done, and to avoid making the same mistakes when you make a second attempt. So from there, you could go back out and select a new simulation. We could have restarted that simulation again, or you could choose a different simulation, or even go in and do a simulation in a different professional area. So you do have access to all of the content. And what I do want to point out is that you always have help. So you can come to us through help@simucase.com, and you'll see this will generate an email for you right away, where you can email us. You can call us anytime with this 1-855 number. And you can see at the bottom right corner of the screen, you have chat now. So from 12 to 7, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time, you can come into the live chat and ask us questions, and we're happy to help. It is not a bot. These are myself and my colleagues there to answer questions for you. So you can always come in and ask questions anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have right now, but I do want to point out that you also have resources here. So along with the resources that were on the professions page in the form of videos, in the library you have an education tab. So anytime we create videos to educate you, we will put them in the education tab. And you can see there is a tutorial of how to use the assessments and how to use the interventions here. You also have the resources button where there's a short user guide. There's also a longer user or long user guide, or a short quick guide here. You can even run a browser test. So if you feel like things are loading slowly, you can run a browser test here. Only faculty will have this faculty tab. Within the faculty tab, there are tools and tips that are available, and you can see OT faculty frequently asked questions. So this is a good resource for faculty.
Wendy, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm a faculty member.
Yes.
I received all the flyers and codes for my students.
Sure.
How do I, as the faculty member, get access?
So I had sent a faculty code as well for the first cohort that used SimuCase, and that faculty code is good for you as well. So I can resend it.
Yeah, if you can send that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely.
I know my students are on here. Thank you so much for doing this for us. I'll be meeting with my students, guys. If you're listening, we'll be meeting sometime next week or a little bit later, Braden, for you, to really go over your syllabus and how we are going to be utilizing SimuCase. But this is a fabulous a tool that we have, so I'm really excited that we get to use it, and you guys should be excited too. Given the COVID-19 pandemic, this is going to be really crucial for you guys to complete your internship. So thank you, Wendy, for going over that with us.
Well, I'm always happy to help. Please just contact me if you have any questions, and I'll shoot you an email with that code for you as soon as we're done here. All right.
Students, you guys have any quick questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you for telling us about this. I wanted to know, is it iPad compatible? Like, are the cases iPad compatible?
That's a great question. I use it all the time on my iPad. So I work on a Mac when I'm at home, but in the evening when I answer questions or run cases with students, I use my iPad. So you'll be able to see it just like you're seeing it here. The screen may look a little bit more condensed, but the videos play just the same. You'll be able to answer the questions. I don't recommend that you try to do these on the phone though. You just can't see enough of the screen, but a regular iPad or even an iPad mini works fine.
Okay, and then another question I had was, is there any way for like students, like after our internship, to keep the software?
So your
Reference?
your university has purchased it for you for 4 months. So if you were wanting to purchase on your own, you can always do so here under the membership tab. So you can always purchase on your own.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right, well, thank you so much. If you think of any questions, you know you can always reach out. If you email help@simucase.com, they send those emails to me and I will email you back.
All right, well, thank
All
you.
right, thank
And,
you.
students, you'll hear from me soon. We'll get together and go over the syllabus.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.